Ram. Hello. Hello and welcome once again here on the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Here I am. There she goes. As if on cue. And I went to see Juno, who was just in the armchair in the back. I went and pet her and I'm like, oh, you're such a good doggy, but you're going to be leaving in a couple of minutes. You're going to be out of here. You're going to be hitting the bricks so soon. And there she goes. It's Thursday. Ain't that just the sweetest thing ever? Thursday, great day. It's signaling the weekend. We're almost there, folks. Hope you had a very good week so far. Hope your end to your week is going to be even more ravishing, particularly thanks to the fact that we're going to be talking about pro wrestling here tonight, as we are wont to do. In case you're new here, I'm Warren, and yeah, that's gonna be our thing tonight. What's all this here? Got this post-it note here. I don't need that anymore. Don't need this post-it note anymore. Post-it note that fell. Okay, then I read it. It's like, it's old news, brother. Don't need it anymore. It would be false to say that I rely on post-it notes, but I really, really, really like post-it notes. I like using post-it notes. I like the idea of, scribbling, writing, doodling on them, and then just like sticking them anywhere. I don't know. It's just like there's something extremely satisfying for me anyway in that regard. Apparently it's really cold in the United States. Hopefully everyone's going to stay warm and stay okay. Up here right now tonight, it was snowing. Holy smokes. It was snowing. I mean, a lot of snow. So much snow. Took Juno out before coming in over here to get ready to stream, and she's the happiest dog on earth at this time of year. She's just running and dashing all over the yard, jumping into the snow, doing the dolphin, right? Going like this. She's just the happiest dog at this time of year. And that's good because, in July, she's the absolute most miserable animal on earth. She cannot stand the heat. Absolutely has no use for it. Neither does her master, that being said. But yeah, I mean, look, she's so that's always fun. It's like, it's blustery. There's snow everywhere, but my dog is outside jumping around and having a good time. And who am I then to judge? Who am I then to say this sucks? No, it doesn't suck. It's actually quite magical and inspiring. There you go. I'm trying to think of stuff that happened over the past couple of days, but there hasn't been much. Been keeping busy with all sorts of things. Watched a bit of wrestling. A couple of things I'd like to share with you tonight before we get into everything, because once again there's quite a few things to talk about. There's really some interesting topics that we got on tap here that may or may not have something to do with photographs circulating on the internet. Anyway, I'll get to that in a second. We're warming up here. We're getting things ready. We're connecting with the audience here, which is a tip. That's something only the pro streamers do. The phony streamers, this is what the phony streamers will do. They'll pretend that they like you, but they'll only read your comments and chat thoughts if only you give them money. When's the last time I'd done that? Well, a couple of years ago, actually. That used to be my business model. But nonetheless, I read you all. I interact with you all. It doesn't matter. So let's say hello to Meggie O'Cana. How you doing, Meggie? Welcome to the chat. Meggie, I'm sure, is all nice and comfy and warm over there in Los Angeles. Nice to see you. Also, member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. It's good to see you. Mr. Antox, nice to see you as well. Silver Apocalypse, hello to you, and it's great to see you as well. Just also happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel, so there you go. Sports and Things shows. Carlos, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat as well. As is hello to you, Boris. Always nice to have you around. And Pedro the Fifth is here too. How about that? Will Davis is here too. Nice to see you. Also happens to be a member of the channel. And Chris Jacobs. Nice to see you, the King of the North. He is Honor Warren OG Hayes. Down in your Josh Roberts voice. I can hear it in my head. That's tremendous. Are you going to talk about the Ring of Honor Mixed Trios tag teams that have formed in the past months? There's like 5. No, I don't know what's going on in Ring of Honor. I have so little vested interest in Ring of Honor until Tony Khan gives me a reason to be excited about it or to get into it. I've got nope. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that Adam Priest won a match tonight. That's all. Maybe it was for a team. I don't know. I just keep abreast of Adam Priest news. That to me is important. There's a nice storm coming down here in the south this weekend. It sucks. Keep the cold to the northerners. Yes, I agree. And you guys keep the heat. That's a fair trade. You guys keep the humidity and the heat. We'll take the cold. That's fine. Yeah, it's not going to be pretty in the south with the ice storms coming up. It's really not going to be pretty. Aladon is in AEW. Yes, she is. Didn't she get a graphic? I feel she got a graphic, right? I could be misremembering. Sometimes I feel very not butterfly effect. What's the other one? Mandela effect. I feel like I get really Mandela affected when it comes to the graphics, where I'm like, oh, didn't that guy get didn't that girl get one? And she didn't. No. But wasn't she announced like what? She signed. Like that's the thing. I know Tony. We've talked about it before. You know, Tony sometimes will hang on to signings to release the graphic at the opportune moment, but or maybe it's information that I just know and I'm getting confused. The Adam Page situation is crazy. Oh, well, we'll probably talk about that, I guess. I guess. She just cut a promo with the grizzled young vets. Because they're all British, see? Keep them together so that they'll be quiet. Let's watch some wrestling. Nice to see you and welcome. Welcome to the chat. Also just happens to be a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. Hey, y'all, today was for moving the living and dining room furniture around. Please front load this episode because I got D&D in an hour. I'll do my best. I'll do my best. So it was another day of procrastinating for you, essentially. Corbin at the show is poop. It's whatever. They gave him a tryout. That's essentially what it was. I talked about it today on the Dynamite review, which is available now on podcast applications on the channel here. But you know, I'm live now. This is much more important right now than the dumb old Dynamite review, which you can watch anytime. But you can't watch a live stream when it's done. Then you're just watching a recording. So that is suddenly umpteen times less special. No, but the Corbin Yeah, they gave him a tryout. That's essentially it. You know, I saw people saying, "Oh, he made his AEW debut." You don't debut on a dark match. That's legitimately what you call a tryout. So, there you go. I'm not necessarily looking. I'm not necessarily looking forward to Baron Corbin in AEW. I don't think. Wouldn't be the thing that would upset me the most in the world, but then at the same time, I'd kind of shrug and go like, well, what's the advantage here? What does he bring to the table? What does Baron Corbin have to offer AEW in the year 2026? Think about that for a second. When Corbin was in WWE, he buried AEW constantly backstage. Look, from what I understand, we're calling him Corbin, but we're being very disingenuous here. We're not calling him by his Christian name, which is Bishop Dyer. Bishop Dyer wanted to work New Japan. He wanted to go work New Japan. And something felt like, and he was slotted to be in the New Japan Cup. But something fell through and it didn't happen. And, I don't know if it necessarily connects to the stuff that I had heard of in regards to New Japan doing a lot of cost cutting, and not trying to do things by inviting Gaijin over, trying to save on some money because New Japan is not flush with cash. They have money like that. I'm not saying they're bankrupt, but the times are tough, fellas. So, I had heard that they were trying to cut down on Gaijin coming over for tours and stuff like that, because most of the time they're a little more expensive than your run of the mill talent. So I don't know if that is what happened, but Baron Corbin was looking forward to working New Japan, and I think he thought he had a shoe in to go work in Japan, and it didn't work out. Isn't he in MLW? He's got that thing with Dijak, right? The skyscrapers or something. I think he's fine. I think he's okay. To be fair, if I remember correctly, when he was released from WWE, I think I said I wouldn't be surprised if this guy's just done with wrestling. This is a guy who was super, super duper smart with his money, right? That is probably very well off and, probably has some smart investments and wouldn't need to go back to pro wrestling at all. I was sure he'd be done. I was convinced he'd be finished. He's still trying to plug along. Good for him, though. But boy, that company fucked him over as far as aura goes. Because, who wants to work with Happy Corbin? There's plenty of fine pro wrestlers in the world, is all I'll say. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like there's so many tremendously talented professional wrestlers. Like if Corbin had any kind of star power, you could excuse a lot of things then if he's bringing name recognition and stuff like that. But WWE just completely assassinated this guy's name, aura, personality, with all the fucking nonsense they had him do. And he probably went along with it because he's like, I'll be here for life. I'm making the boss laugh. Everything's okay. And then, zoop, you're out of here. I do like his finishers, though. The deep six, the end of days is a good finisher. I agree. The end of days is a very, very, very good finisher. That I will agree. I don't think anyone can take that away from him. The names Happy Corbin and Madcap Moss make me cringe to this day. Two guys whose careers were completely derailed because of that bullshit. Because Vince thought it was funny. Let's be real here. Let's be real. You know, even if Baron Corbin was a pushed commodity in WWE, don't forget, he was a guy who was a GM. This was a guy who was King of the Ring, you know, etc., etc. And then at some point, he became a tool to make Vince laugh. Vince thought this was funny, so of course it went on his TV. So that completely shredded an already tenuous. It shredded an already tenuous situation with how people felt about Baron Corbin, and then Riddick Moss, you know, NXT guy just trying to come up, just looking for his opportunity, and he does the good soldier bit where it's like, hey, you're gonna wear suspenders and you're gonna laugh at Happy Corbin's jokes, and you're gonna say dumb one-liners too, and that completely destroyed his career. Two guys completely in the toilet, in need of a complete reinvention. So there you go. It's like what was? Hang on. That other guy, that Shanky. You remember that? Remember Shanky? When Vince had Shanky starting to dance, Shanky was this 7-foot Indian dude. I don't know if he was really 7 feet, but he was super fucking tall, right? Big old ugly mug, you know? And then Vince just started making him dance. You're like, oh, this guy's toast. You know, you have your big man going around acting like a clown. No one's going to take that guy seriously. He was in it, if I remember correctly, and again, I might be misremembering. He was in a trio, right? There were like 3 guys. It was him, and it was Shanky and Veer and the other guy that was an Indu Sheer. There was 3 of them, and this was before they started doing the Veer is coming gimmick that ultimately led to nowhere, right? And Stokely was the manager, but that was in NXT. I'm talking when Shanky was on main roster. Like he was on. Okay, let's figure this out. Cage match. I'm sure we're either dancing around the answer, or we're completely off. Okay, Shanky. Okay, he's billed at 7. On Cage Match, they give him a proper 7 foot even, right? He's 7 feet tall, 341 pounds. Like, I buy it. Like, he was a very tall dude, and he was. Okay, so it was Veer. Okay, I always had the impression that he wasn't one of the Indu Share guys, that there was 3 of them. Okay, so it was Shanky and Veer. And then there was Shanky and Jinder Mahal, and it's when he was teamed with Jinder Mahal that he started to dance. And the Shanky and Veer tag team is when they were in NXT, and he was they were managed by Stokely. What was his name? Malcolm Bivens. They were managed by Malcolm Bivens. The only thing I remember Veer doing was beating up Dom Mysterio. That's nice. That sounds very soothing. All right, so we got the Shanky stuff all figured out. God bless. We wouldn't have wanted any more confusion around the career, the career of Shanky. What has he been doing? Yes, I just X'd out and I decided to go back in, which is why I'm typing so much. What has he been doing? So his last match, the last match he wrestled in WWE was in 2023, in August 2023. And then he wrestled once in Oceania Pro Wrestling in 2024. Isn't that one of the promotions that's in league with MLP, Maple Leaf Pro, right? Wasn't it? You remember when they announced that MLP would be in this wrestling association with a wrestling organization in Qatar, and wasn't Oceania Pro Wrestling the other one? Anyway, and then Shanky wrestled at HWE International Barrage Wrestling. He won in a 3-on-1 handicap match. So I mean, this guy's just doing appearances. He's not wrestling. He's not doing anything really wrestling related. He's just showing up for an appearance and then hitting the bricks. Rory Starks, nice to see you and welcome. Yeah, you know what? Baron Corbin's videos about him cooking steak, I thought that's been prime content because he knows what he's doing. No irony, no jokes. Yeah, jokes aside, his meat cooking videos have always been top notch. I think it's been said that team was going to get a push, but then one of them posted the finish to an unaired match in NXT and got in trouble for it. All right, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. That was one of I guess it was Shanky. I think it's Shanky who did that, right? You are correct. Because they wanted to push Veer. Because this happened in NXT, if I'm not mistaken. What you're talking about. But they hung on to Veer. They wanted to do something with Veer. What a weird thing with Veer. What has he been up to since then? Veer Mahan. Oh, brother, he hasn't even sniffed a wrestling ring since. His last appearance was at the WrestleMania SmackDown in 2024, so in April, in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Wait a second. I was right. I was kind of right. There was another guy in Indushare. Sangha. I knew it. I knew there was another guy. I was like, no, there's 3 guys in that group. There were 3 guys. But no, Sangha, I guess, was brought in to replace Shanky. And I have no recollection of Sangha. I just remembered there was another guy, but I do not remember who this Sangha is. Anyway, according to Cage Match, Veer is done. Veer has not hopped into a wrestling ring since he was done in WWE. Another performance center success story, folks. Just another one. All right, so enough of this witty banter. We're going to do housekeeping. The Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast is out. It is out there. It is available. It's been out since yesterday. You fools! And if you haven't listened to it, well, that's weird because there's my NXT, not my NXT, but my TNA on AMC review that is right there. It's been available for a few days now, but for members of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel only. So, if you like to get early access to stuff, you like to have a little peek behind the curtain, get some if you suffer from the FOMO, best way to get rid of that is to become a member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. So, but nonetheless, Mr. Warren Hayes Show podcast is there, releases every Wednesday per usual. Today, the AEW Dynamite review is out there for another good Dynamite, a Dynamite that I enjoyed tremendously. We've been on a bit of a roll with Dynamites, and we talk about a bunch of things, of course, break down a couple of stories, and some stuff that I think they're building very, very that they're building in a very in a very finessed way, very, very clever way that they're building a big feud, which I think is what they're doing, going for Kenny Omega versus Swerve Strickland. So there's some good stuff happening right now in AEW. So that means you get some good reviews. You get some reviews that shine with positivity. And who doesn't like that, right? You have to be very joyful some days. So there you go. You got that, and there you go. That's what's going on. That's what's happening right now with the Mr. Warren Hayes Show stuff. It's your first time here. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Consider subscribing to the channel. That would be great. And if you're here and you haven't liked the video already, I will release the hounds. I'm sending the dogs after you, unless you leave a like on the video. Then I'll call the dogs back, and they'll leave you alone for now until next time when you need to leave another like on the video. There you go. Patrick, nice to see you and welcome. Also member of the channel. It's nice to see you indeed. I will. Well, listen, I will not let the dogs out. However, I will let our dog out, Jacques Moliere.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Jacques Moliere. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a nunchuck master.
Woo.
I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Booyah! Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Booyah, let the dog out. I saw a photo yesterday of Jacques Moliere at a Trump burger with Joey Ryan. That's not real. That's not real. Joey Ryan's not cool enough to be he's not cool enough. See, I really didn't put this on the docket, and I'm coming back to the main screen here just because I got nothing to show. There's nothing really to go along with this, but I guess we should talk, just address the Hangman Page Marty Scurll photo that has everyone up in a tizzy. Blue Sky had a crisis yesterday. I don't know if you don't know what I'm talking about. It's very, very simple. Marty Scurll yesterday, Wednesday, the day of the Dynamite in Orlando, posted a photograph of him, and a selfie, I should say, of him and Hangman Adam Page outside of a Cracker Barrel. And, do I need to break down who Marty Scurll is? I hope not. I really don't feel like it. Look, if you want to know, who's Marty Scurll and why this is an issue here, just look it up, right? And you look, this sent everyone into an absolute frenzy, accusing Marty Scurll of faking the picture, that it's probably AI, and some people just losing their mind, saying, oh my God, I can't believe Hangman would do this. Why is he still friends with this creep? And et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to endeavor to bring unto you the most reasonable take possible, and it might be the most boring take at the same time. But I also think, I really think it's probably the most reasonable approach to take here. And my overall perception of this is that it's a snipe job. It's a snipe job by Skrull. And I don't understand why. I mean, there's no reason for me to understand or to not understand. I am not his friend. I've never spoken to the guy. I'm not in his head, thank God. So, it's like, I don't know why he'd do this. But it feels like a snipe job. Just coming out of nowhere, posting a picture of the big, arguably the biggest babyface in AEW. It's like, what are we even doing, right? And it's not as if Marty Skrull doesn't understand what he's doing. It's not as if, he can fall back to the defense of, where he can fall back onto a defense where he says something to the effect of, what did I just do wrong? I just had a nice dinner with a friend, Marty Skrull has a lot of things. Dumb is not one of them. And he is fully aware of his reputation, of what his actions have done to him in pro wrestling. He knows because he can't get booked anywhere outside of some low-level, shit indies, right? That's the only place he gets any work, or he goes, in other countries and whatever. Look, it doesn't matter. He knows that he can't get work because he's poison. There you go. Because he's poison. And he knows that his presence with other people is also poison. There's probably been people who have straight up told him, look, I can't be seen with you because, it's going to tarnish my image. Like, people are going to ask questions. It's going to make me look bad, right? I wanted to use shindies, but I wasn't sure if everyone was going to understand. So I just want to thank you, Chris. So the point that I'm making, right, is that is that Marty Skrull posted that photograph, posted that selfie with full and complete knowledge of what it was going to do to Hangman. He knew what was going to happen, right? The simple defense of just two friends hanging out doesn't work. Not in this case. Especially not with another public figure like Hangman. So, that part, I feel very strongly that this is probably what he did, but I don't understand why. I don't understand why he does that now in the year 2026 and over the past 5 years or so, right? 5.5 years, 6 years, he has not done anything to get back at his old friends in the elite. He's done nothing. He hasn't said a single word about them. He hasn't tried to bury them. He hasn't tried to, mount any revenge or whatnot. And people seem surprised that he'd do this. People are like, well, why would he do this? I don't know. But the idea of a wrestler taking a photograph about, of someone in a certain situation to use it as blackmailed later is not something that I would dismiss. It's something where I kind of go, sure, I can buy pro wrestlers doing this. Look, we were just talking about it in regards to Zachary Wentz a couple of days ago when we were talking about the Hitler mustache photo that he had published, or that he had taken, I should say, a few months ago, that was taken by his former trainer, who was an abusive piece of shit, and pressured him into taking the picture and held on to the picture to blackmail him. And he actually did blackmail him once and then sent the picture to his unhinged soon-to-be former ex when she was having a meltdown on Twitter so that she could continue to disparage and make and tear the guy down, which eventually led him to get fired from WWE. These things actually legitimately do exist. So it's none of this shocks me. Not in the sense where I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this was posted. It's like, The question that I have is why? Why did he post it? Why did he do this now? And even if it is AI, because there's some people who are trying to discredit it and say, it's just AI. It still doesn't answer my question. Why did he do it in the first place? What's the end game here? What is he trying to do to Hangman? That's the question that I have, you know? Of course, the people that are having a crisis of conscience in regards to Hangman Adam Page, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I know there's a lot of fan turnover in pro wrestling, right? I know there's a lot of fan turnover. So, you know, people like myself, you know, are becoming more and more of a rarer breed. But wasn't it kind of common knowledge that, I mean, not even common knowledge. Let me say that again. It was kind of obvious that they were friends for a long time. They were all in the same group. They were all looking out for each other. The Elite were very tight-knit and always negotiated as groups and so on and so forth. They all looked out for each other. Hangman and Marty were friends. And from all intents and purposes they still are. I don't know what to tell you. Look, you can come at me with the AI argument. I don't buy it. It doesn't look AI, you know, whatever it is. But ultimately, people, again, this is a topic we bring up oftentimes here on the channel. People often will create, will place these wrestlers on pedestals, right? And we'll see them as bigger and better than what they are. And I often like to remind folks that these are pro wrestlers. These are professional liars. This is what they do for a living. Their entire job is to make you believe that they're in a real fight. You know, it's like, this is a con artist's world, and it always has been. And there might be more money now involved in pro wrestling than ever, but the essence of it, trust me, is still pretty much the same. So if Hanger, you know, if Hanger presents himself as, you know, in the way he does, right, as having very progressive values, and then people gravitate to that and they turn him into like the pro wrestling progressive icon, right? If he does something like this, of course it's going to completely erode, or at least, you know, chip at the very least, chip at worst erode what he's been trying to build. You know, as a guy who's forward thinking, who believes, who believes in societal values and social justice and whatnot, and all things I get behind 100%. I'm not trying to bury him. These are all, you know, if anything, my values are very, very close to Hangman Page's. But the thing here is that people are complicated. People are very, very complicated. And holy smokes, thank you so much, D. Owens, with 5 gifted memberships today. Thank you so much. Wow, dude, that is awesome. I appreciate it tremendously. Thank you so much. Hope everyone enjoys that 5 bomb there. Oh yeah, this is gonna might mute the alerts here for a bit, because it's gonna keep me from going on. People are very complex, and things are not as black and white as a lot of people wish they were. You know what I mean? And relationships are complex things. If you've had friends, if you've had friends and you know, family and whatnot, you know how weird they can be. You know, and it's not as binary as people want them to be online, right? That's just how it goes. So am I surprised that Hangman Adam Page would go hang out with Marty Scurll in Orlando? Because we know that's where Marty lives. Would it be shocking that he'd go hang out with a former friend, or maybe even a friend, and go hang out and say hi and catch up and whatnot? No. No, I wouldn't be surprised in the least. I wouldn't be surprised in the absolute least. There's that's just how it goes. Like it's not shocking to me. You know, is it disappointing? Yeah. Yeah, it is. But then again, like, it's pro wrestling. It's pro wrestlers. And I don't know these people. How many times have I told you on this podcast? We don't know these people. What we know about them is what they project in public, right? And we can glean information off of that. We can choose to believe how they are based off of that stuff. But ultimately, we do not know these people. And we have to stop pretending like we have this intimate knowledge of them. We don't. And that's a problem. It's people ultimately then creating headcanon around the Hangman. And then Hangman does something that is to their displeasure. And they're like, I can't believe Hangman would do that. But then you're like, why can't you believe it? What made you so sure that this was absolutely against the grain of Hangman? It's against the grain of what he projects. But as a person, maybe this is right in line for, whatever reasons he decides. Look, is it weird? Look, personally, I can go ahead and project what I would do onto others, right? Look, most people I know, friends and whatnot, if I found out that they were pedophiles, I'd probably cut them out of my life. That's just me, right? Now, I have admittedly a couple of really close friendships, a friend that I've had for 30 years, for instance. If something bad like that were to come out, I don't know how I'd react, because the guy's like a brother to me. He's my best fucking friend in the world. What do I do? It can't be that clean cut. Not that I'd endorse it, but Jesus, my emotions would be a lot more torn up than just me jumping out here and saying, no, I'm cutting this son bitch off, It's like, that's the nature of being human. And you can't just stop being friends with, there's no unfollow button in real life relationships. That's just how it goes, right? That's just how it goes. So that's my take. That's my vision of the Hangman Marty Scurll photograph situation. Is I think the question that no one is asking really, I mean, there's a couple of us, but the question that everyone should be asking is, why did Marty Scurll do this? Why did he post a picture of Hangman? What's he trying to do? Because again, this was not an accident. This is not Marty just simply saying, I don't know what's so wrong about it. He knows what he represents. He understands what kind of poison he is. He did this purposefully for a reason. Okay. And what is it? Well, I don't know. And again, people should stop pretending, should stop idolizing pro wrestlers the way they do. These are flawed humans like all of us, and we don't know them. We think we know them, but we only know what they project. We don't know these people. And ultimately, that's just, if you're upset and disappointed and distraught over what Hangman did, that's more a reflection of you than it is of Hangman. Again, I don't care. I don't particularly care for what Hangman did, but that's neither here nor there. There you go. We're gonna keep getting the alerts. Awesome. Nothing's gonna fall. I'm assuming probably not. D. Owens' alerts will live on forever. No charges were filed and he didn't break the law. I'm not a defender of Marty, by the way. Just think that should be said. But Marty's reputation has been a well-known, this side of Marty has been a well-known thing in professional wrestling for a while. It's just one of these, it's just one of these things where you just, you don't speak about it. That no one ever spoke up about. So I hear what you're saying, but at the same time, this didn't surprise anyone. When speaking out happened, everyone just sort of shrugged and said, yep, that's Marty. Because I know no one came out to defend him either, because that's just how it went, because everyone knew. That's the thing. Hey, Fred, how you doing? Welcome to the chat, Fred Moreland of the Good, the Bad, the Hungry podcast over there on Voices of Wrestling. He also happens to be a member of the MrWarrenHayes show. He's been a member for 14 months. Look at that. Is the FSM 50 out? I didn't know that. The FSM 50 is out. I didn't even know. I'll have to check that out. DJ Convoy, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat as well, member of the channel. Certain people would have learned after pretending Dustin Rhodes was some kind of LGBTQ ally. Oh, well, he still says he is. I mean, look, the thing with Dustin, here's the thing with my, I can't believe we're going down. It's like, I really do think that Dustin has like good intentions, because he has family who is trans and he's like, I support, right? But he doesn't realize that by going on the MAGA side of things, that he is not showing any allyship or even support, even before allyship, just basic support. It's like, no, like, put your money where your mouth is and don't vote for the party that wants to extinguish trans people wherever they are, Dustin. And I think it's more of an idiot thing than anything else. I think he's just dumb. I think it's just dumb. Ignorance and dumminess. Kristen Ashley, nice to see you, darling. Welcome to the chat, member of the channel. It's nice to see you. Also nice to see you, Rory Starks. Wrestlers may be possibly the worst group of people on average to form parasocial relationships with. No matter your politics, ethics, they will disappoint you. They will disappoint you, and with possibly the dumbest reasons. It's wrestlers inadvertently, or maybe even very, very vertently, look to create these parasocial relationships because they want fans to be attached to them so that they will buy merch, so that they will buy tickets to see them live. Like, that's why you'll buy 8x10s, you'll buy t-shirts, you'll go to your local indie to watch them wrestle, and so on and so forth. You'll follow them on Twitter, you'll interact, you'll boost their numbers. Yeah, it's all part of the work. It's all part of the work. And this is not new. It's not new. It's just it's something that has changed with the era of social media. It's just completely changed. Instead of having, the girls, in the Sporatorium screaming their lungs off when the Von Erichs would show up, right? Well, they're sitting around on Twitter and Blue Sky and Tumblr, and they're sharing pictures of, I don't know, fucking Jack Perry. Yeah, but bear with me here with the analogy. Otherwise they'd be in the arenas screeching at the top of their lungs like as if the Beatles just ran in. It's the same type of thing, but it's been displaced to social media, and these relationships then the parasocial aspect kicks in because you have a more direct access to them as opposed to the Von Erichs, where the best you could do is sneak a kiss off of Kerry if you were lucky as he was walking to the ring, right? It's all a work. It's all working, and you can't blame wrestlers for trying to cultivate these relationships. That's their lifeblood. Not parasocial relationships, but to generate like a fan base. You can't blame them to do that. It's just, we've gotten so weird. Younger fans especially have gotten so weird with how they connect with media and performers, and not just wrestlers. We're talking actors, musicians, the whole 9 yards. We've gotten so weird about that. When people create parasocial relationships with cartoon characters and comic book characters. So it's like, it's symptomatic of a bigger thing, but in pro wrestling, this is something that the wrestlers are actively out to do, to create a connection so that you will be a fan, so that you can go buy the merch, Where's the big demo tweet? The big demo tweet is in our hearts every day. The FSM 50 came out today. I didn't even know. Why did no one post it? I haven't seen anyone post it. I'd love to see it. I wasn't aware. See, this is why you have to bring back RSS feeds, brother. RSS feeds for life. The Bagwell thing was the best. Yeah. Ooh, Buff loves anime and gay rights. What a fucking disaster that was. And everyone was like, Buffy's so cool now. It's like a 60-year-old guy, 60-year-old former pro wrestler from Georgia. Please. Can I get a trans rights? That kind of stuff. That turned out to really be a disaster, though. You re-skeeted an ex. What is re-skeeting? I do not endorse that term. Yes, you're from Georgia, but you're not an old former professional wrestler from Georgia. That's the point. Joey Ryan felt bigger at the time. To me, yeah. Joey was a huge independent star, but there's also the thing that there's a lot of women who came out to accuse him of everything. And look, there's a lot of people who went along with Joey's stuff too. So, it's like, it was a very embarrassing moment for the entire business. On the skeet site, what, do I have to bring out my shotgun? Is that what we're doing? We're doing skeet shooting. Once you start using proper English, Fred, I might get into it. Johnny, nice to see you and welcome. Old David Starr, look, we're going down the parade right now. We're going through the parade of shitbags, and we're stopping this here. That's fine. I'm not spending another half hour or so, relitigating all of the bullshit of all these people have done. Ye old skeeting. All right, let me go see your fucking Blue Sky post. Jesus Christ. I never endorsed this. I never endorsed the term skeeting on Blue Sky. Let's go see. This better be entertaining for me and the viewers of the Mr. Warren Hayes show stream right now. Yes, Canadians have shotguns. The only difference here is that not everyone carries them around all the time. Hey, listen, I have heard you say at least one skeet, and it wasn't ironically. Listen, probably about skeet shooting. That was probably it. Fightful is reporting that TNA is trying to get back Trey Miguel. Well, of course. Why wouldn't they? He has the biggest amount of buzz. No one has ever talked this much about Trey Miguel ever. Of course. Why wouldn't they? And I hope he milks them dry for all the money they don't have. All right, let's look at this. Let's look at this botch here, which is apparently very good. And no, we've had conversations about skeet shooting. Let's watch this so that we can get into the more interesting topics here. Not that the botch is not interesting. I haven't seen it yet. I mean, more interesting topics than talking about Joey Ryan and David Starr.
Oh, Shawn Michaels anytime.
Did he really want to do some kind of coast to coast? He really wanted to do some kind of coast to coast from this rope hung guy here. And he's like, fuck this. That's awesome. He really, I appreciate this. The guy had a dream. He said, I can make it. I can do it. I can do it. And let's call this the high fly no. Exactly. That was amazing. Good for him. Look, you've got to have dreams. You've got to have dreams. Who's calling? Fred? What do you want, Fred? Hang on a second. I don't think we can hear you. Give me a second. Because I don't have all my stuff set up here. There's the call. There's the call. Oh, it should be working, but I can't hear you. That's weird. We can't hear you, Fred. I think it's probably on my end. We'll try. I'll get this fixed up. We'll try another time. Oh, there you go. Wait a second.
No.
It is on your side.
Yeah. The Discord always messes up my input. Listen, when I tell you that I have something good for you, I've given you Jacques Moliere.
True.
I've given you the high fly no.
Yes, as well.
I've got a track record.
No,
I just demand respect for the track record. That's it.
Sure. No, look. Okay, I'll give you that much. You do have a consistent track record of really excellent things. I agree.
Of the best shit.
And Jacques Moliere is a staple of the Mr. Warren Hayes show now.
Yes.
Did you?
No reason the high fly no can't be.
Did you hear that we found out one of the viewers found out that Jacques Moliere won a trip to Disneyland with his family?
Oh, nice. Good for him.
Yeah, doing a contest for winning a contest on a radio station giveaway. Outside.
I did not know this.
Yeah, just like outside, on like on a car lot somewhere. I don't know. In Virginia.
Okay. All right.
And and he won it, and our the Eagle Eye Mr. Warren Hayes show chat found it, and they sent it over, and it was tremendous. We were very happy for him.
Good for him. All right, I just wanted to come in to brag about how I give you the best content, and I'm underappreciated. That's all. Bye.
Thank you, Fred. All right. That's enough out of you, though. Okay. And that's enough. We've seen you already, Jacques. You're good. You're good. All right. So, hey, this is our docket for tonight. We're not going to be able to get through everything now. Wait, hang a second. You have proof of my skeet revisionism in the Discord? What is this? I don't believe that. Let me see. Let me take a look at this. Yeah, but obviously I was using it ironically, right? Obviously it was ironic. Obviously it's an ironic use. Right? Every skeet can be a prompt if you re-skeet somebody and copy their text and then add a photo. Because look, here's the thing, is I'm copying, this is like what I'm copying is a, it's one of these, I don't know how you call them. What's the word? You know, when someone starts a thing, you know, it's like, hey, copy the thing and do so on. So I'm just copying the copy of the person doing the thing so that everyone will do the thing. You see what I mean? It's like, it's not even me using it. I'm using it in the context of the thing. It's not an endorsement. That, don't you know, every retweet is not a retweet is not an endorsement? I did. Hey, it's enough. Hey, Kiru, nice to see you and welcome. Welcome. No live TNA reactions for those 100 subscribers. Not subscribers, members. I will do weekly TNA reviews once I get 100 members, not subscribers. All right, it's enough. We've got some stuff to talk about in regards to New Japan Professional Wrestling. There are people that will be leaving the company that will be indeed hitting the bricks. This should come as no surprise, but there are some names that are a little surprising. Some not as much, but these are rumors that have been going around and that are finally sort of bubbling up to the surface. There's a lot more people talking about it. As I mentioned not that long ago, I don't deal in scoops. Like my job, my self-imposed job is not to what's the word I'm looking for? Is not to break news. That's what I'm doing, or to give scoops, right? I prefer to wait till the things come out and then comment on them. Maybe sometimes I'll insinuate some things like I might be doing in this segment here tonight. But it's like, there's stuff here that had been going around, stuff that kind of took a lot of people by surprise. And this is where we're at right now. So there's departures. There's people leaving. There's people leaving New Japan. Evil is probably the biggest name to be on his way out. I think I think it took a lot of people by surprise, right? I think it took a lot of people by surprise, but there's been rumors, there's been rumblings like for the past couple of years around January that Evil is on his way out. Do you remember last year? Last year, he was really like acting as if he was done with New Japan. And then he ended up coming back. And remember, he just had a blank t-shirt on. And we all figured, this is going to be some kind of big refresher, something all new. But then it's like, no, he takes off his t-shirt and it's still part of House of Torture because he had a House of Torture t-shirt underneath. Well, this time, it apparently, of course, it's not signed, sealed, and delivered. But apparently, it's very real. He is leaving New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he is crossing the Pacific Ocean to go work with World Wrestling Entertainment. Rumor has it that he is still indeed married to Io Sky. Fuck. I had heard the opposite, that there was no longer a thing. It doesn't matter. The point is that he is in all likelihood, I should say, heading to WWE. And good for him. Because look, here's the thing overall with these, with all these departures. Everyone except one that we're going to talk about. The majority of these departures are all going to be good for each of these wrestlers. And they're all also going to be good for New Japan. It's going to free some space up. It's going to refresh the company. It's going to change the face of the company. And it's all going to feel so much better. It's just going to feel like a brand new coat of paint where we won't have certain things around maybe to drag us down, to say, oh, we have to do this again. It's good. Movement in pro wrestling is good. And if these guys decide to go off and try something else, rekindle maybe their love of the game or whatnot, and how could you not? How could you not get excited for that? Right? How could you not be excited? And look, for me personally, this gets me more invested in New Japan than anything else. Because then I'm like, oh, well, we've got some big shoes to fill. There's some stuff here that I was not expecting. And Evil, like, don't get me wrong, I hate the House of Torture with a passion. I like, it is go away heat for me. But Evil has always been good. I've always enjoyed Evil. It's just a shame that he was embroiled in the shenanigans and whatnot, right? That's the thing that really bothered me. And what I'm thinking ultimately is that this is why they decided to really go hard on a United Empire heel turn, because there's no more War Dogs, right? There's no more Bullet Club, I should say. There's no more the House of Torture will have no teeth without Evil. What are you doing with the House of Torture moving forward? No Evil, no Sonata. What do you got? You gonna have fucking Show drive the boat? It fucking sucks, you know. It has no more teeth to it. So go with United Empire. Make them a full heel unit. Have Callum Newman decide to really be a bastard and show up and do heelish things like he did during the new Lion Cup earlier this week. So it's like that's clearly the United Empire turn. I think is a clear indication that that we're probably going to see the end of House of Torture too. God bless. But I think it kind of sucks that we're ending the House of Torture and Evil is just going to disappear as well, because I think Evil's a really good brawler. It's just we've forgotten that he's a good brawler, that he's good at what he does because of all the nonsense. But I'm not disappointed I'm not disappointed on the front of House of Torture coming apart. There will be people who will tell you, House of Torture, it's a shame that it's coming apart because it was good. It was never good. Let me say that again. It hadn't been interesting or good in a fucking long time. It got old so extremely fast, and they had been doing the same thing with House of Torture over and over and over again for years. Always the same thing. Always the same, someone matches going on, and then, there's a variety of things, but then it's like, Dick Togo rings the bell, or Dick Togo and fools the guy into thinking the match is over, or Dick Togo turns the lights out in the building, or the people run in with wrenches and push-up bars and whatever, and whiskey bottles. It was all infinitely frustrating because it was always the same thing, and you could never ever ever enjoy a match because when House of Torture was involved, because you knew it was just going to devolve into bullshit. So I'm welcoming this change. I'm welcoming good for Evil if he's leaving. I think he's been stale, and this is a good way for him to freshen things up for himself. He's going to go make some big money in the US, and he's going to try something different. And all the more power to him. Now, is WWE going to use him? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I think Evil has a legitimately good chance to get himself over, to really get over, more than a lot of guys in New Japan, because he's able to do the shtick. he's very much influenced by he's very much influenced by the stuff that happens that is very sports entertaining. Look, the home run swing that he does with the chairs, right? He can 100% get that over in WWE. That will 100% get him over. People are going to love that. So, I mean, all the more power to him, and that really does. And you can already feel it where it's like it's making things feel a little lighter already. You're like, oh, this isn't so bad. now that he's gone. Evil in a tag team with Royce Keys, which allegedly, I believe that's the name that everyone is speculating is for Powerhouse Hobbs. Red Narita about to have a mega push as the new leader of House of Torture, says, that guy 64, nice to see you. Also member of the chat. MrWarrenHayes show. That's in the chat. God, could you imagine? Could you imagine the dream matches Evil could have in TNA? Evil versus Frankie Kazarian best of 7 series. I don't know. I won't watch it. I don't know. Maybe Evil is the big man Logan and Heyman referenced. I think they're talking about Vince. Clip this. I think it's Vince. There's no live stream. There's no. Oh my God. Okay. Another guy who is reportedly on his way out, is Gabe Kidd. Now, I think you have to be an absolute dunce to think that Gabe Kidd is not eventually going to come over to AEW. I think it's going to happen fairly soon. I think there's going to be an announcement. There's going to be something that's going to happen, and Gabe Kidd is going to be announced as a new signee for All Elite Wrestling, and he's going to come do this in North America for a while. Now, Gabe Kidd is the exception in regards to the things that I said at first, where I'm like, where none of these people leaving is really all that significant. It's not really that big a deal, right? I think in the case of Gabe Kidd, that could potentially be a big deal because I think Gabe Kidd could have been a big star in New Japan. I think he had the stuff and the support and the drive and the energy to do it. Hell, he showed it last year very briefly, from the end of December right up till January 5th when he fought Kenny Omega. He was showing that he had his full interest in New Japan and that he wanted to be Mr. New Japan because I have no doubt that he loves the place. I have no doubt that he loves wrestling for New Japan Pro Wrestling. But here's what happened last year. New Japan did, as we say in the business, jack shit with Gabe Kidd. They had a guy that the Japanese audiences had gravitated to, accepted, because he decided to wear the lion mark on his sleeve, well, on his shorts, but you get it's a phrase, okay? It's a turn of phrase. Bear with me. But he had decided to endorse to become the bearer of the lion mark at a time where people were looking for someone to gravitate to because everyone was gone because none of the new guys were stepping up. Then suddenly Gabe Kidd, the Reiwa 3 and whatnot, then suddenly Gabe Kidd shows up out of nowhere and is like, I'm going to carry this fucking promotion on my back. And then he has the match with Omega. He has a great time limit draw with Yota Tsuji, and then that's it. Oh, sure, he was global champion, but what kind of reign did he have? And yes, it was unfortunate that he got injured during the G1. That's an unfortunate circumstance, right? And I get that. But nonetheless, New Japan chose to not do anything of real significance with Gabe Kidd. And you can feel right now that there's a bunch of guys who have leapfrogged him in the booking, Umino, Yuya, Yuto Ice, Oscar. These are all guys that just leapt. Callum Newman. These are all guys who all leapt who leapt much further than he did. I think there's a reason right now that he's been fairly silent on New Japan, on New Japan TV. And look, your eagle eye Warren Hayes here has been pointing out to you very, very gently. He's been dropping weight. He's been cutting weight. Been looking good. He doesn't, he's not the burly guy he once was. He's slimmed down quite a bit. He's not like suddenly 150 pounds. Don't get me wrong. He's not, he's not Alec Price. Okay. But he has cut weight tremendously. And I speculated, I told you all. Not saying that this was a requirement, but maybe someone in AEW said, hey, you know what? It'll probably be easier for you to get over on American TV if you get rid of some of the excess. He took it to heart. You look at Gabe Kidd in January of 2025, and you look at Gabe Kidd at the end of 2025, and you're like, wow, okay, transformation. I think he knows what he's doing. I think it's pretty clear. Dual contract? Look, there is a chance, right? There is a chance. But I sincerely doubt it. I think that the idea of... I think the concept of the dual contract is something that is going to work better with a partner like CMLL than it will be for New Japan, if only because New Japan needs guys for entire tours most of the time for things to really get over and work, and maybe AEW can't work with that kind of stringent requirement, right? And plus the distance. Like there's a difference between hopping on a flight to Mexico City from wherever in the continental United States versus, hopping on a flight from wherever in the continental United States all the way to, Tokyo or Kyoto or wherever the fuck else, Osaka, wherever there are airports. I'm just throwing names out there. Hiroshima, I don't know. Wherever they have the airports, right? Why can't he jump to TNA? He can. Oh, he can. If he likes to work for free money. No, that's not what I meant. If he likes to work for free and no money. That's what I meant. Not free money. Everyone wants free money. So I think this has the potential to be a poor decision by New Japan to let him go. But if I'm Gabe Kidd, I myself am like, fuck this. They did I had an excellent match last year with Kenny Omega. I tore the house down with Kenny Omega. I established myself. I had momentum, and this company decided to do jack shit with him. Well, he's more than entitled to hit the bricks, especially if Tony Khan is waiting for him, which he clearly is. Gabe Kidd and Rocky Romero could have reformed Roppongi Knights? No, I don't think so. A guy who's rumored has been to be leaving it, but there is also no confirmation is David Finlay. I think we've been getting the David Finlay is leaving rumor for like every year for the past 3 years at this point. But this year they feel a lot more serious for some reason. I think the rumors of his departure are a lot more serious. Now the question is, where would he go? And everything seems to indicate that he'd be going to WWE. His dad has the connections to get him in. His little brother's already there. There might be something to do there, right? I don't think this is a guy who goes and debuts on main roster, but I could be wrong. In any extent, this is also a guy who feels extremely stale. They did all sorts of stuff with Dave Finlay last year in 2025, and and you felt like they were just going through the motions, where it's just like, oh, here we go again, Dave Finlay, type of thing. And it's like, man, and I like Dave Finlay. And I've liked Dave Finlay particularly for the past 2 years, 2024, 2025, right? I felt like he had really grown into something really interesting, like this, the sneaky power guy, just using his power to bully people when you're not expecting it. It was really, really tremendous. But here's a guy that a lot of people had earmarked that he was going to be IWGP World Champion because Gedo decided to side with him. And, Gedo usually, cornering a dude usually means that guy's been earmarked for a world championship, and it did not happen. It just didn't happen. He never got the main title in the company, and it seemed like his ceiling was the global title. It seems like that's where he was capped, and that he just wasn't going to push through. Now, this is a guy who's still young. He's in his early 30s. He still has a lot to give. He's powerful as hell. He's a very good pro wrestler. To me, there's still a question of sky's the limit here. I think there's a ton of stuff that you can still do with Dave Finlay. I'm very excited for him and his next moves. If he goes to WWE, well, I wish him the best. I won't see him wrestle ever again. But, it's like, if that's what he does, go give it a try, right? But he was stale. He had hit a very clear ceiling in New Japan. In his shoes, I'd probably do the same. I'd probably want to hit the bricks as well. So we'll see what happens. And look, with Dave, I know like everyone is merged into what do they call it now? Unsanctioned unaffiliated, unattached. Anyway, the Yoda Suji group of the old LIJ guys and the War Dogs. Bullet Club is officially dead. Once David Finlay leaves, Unbound Co. Thank you. Once David Finlay leaves, he is officially Bullet Club is. It's not just officially dead. It is buried with 12 pounds of dirt on top. Dead. That's how dead it's going to be. I wish I could talk wrestlers and promotions into all following the shorter models, more jumping promotion model of the territories. Yeah, I mean, honestly, wrestling would be so much more exciting if that was that. But guess who decided that wasn't going to happen anymore? Like Vince McMahon killed that, and then it's like I'm the only show in town. So it's created battle lines, it's created divisions where you can't jump to somewhere else without it being a statement. But in fact, it's just like it's such a sane thing to do. It's like at your work, if you're working your day job and at some point you feel like you've hit a ceiling and you're unfulfilled, you pick up the phone, you call somewhere else. You're like, hey, are you guys hiring? You go, you do the rigmarole, you apply, and you start off fresh somewhere else. And maybe it works out and maybe it doesn't. But you will always have the credit of going off to try something else, right? It's really dumb. It's really dumb. I'm wondering if Dolph responds to MJF on TNA. No. Knowing Max, he called in to say that just to agitate because he knows that Dolph cannot address AEW because he knows Dolph can't. And MJF can. He doesn't give a shit. And he knows Dolph can't say a word, so it was just to make him really fucking uncomfortable, make him look like a fool. And he hung up and ran away. There is no way Dolph Ziggler is responding to MJF. We already knew about Sonata and his particular situation with his neck fusion surgery coming up. At least that's what's been reported. Apparently he's still hanging around. Like, he's not gone from the company, right? He's, probably the hiatus that everyone was talking about was an in-ring hiatus, because he's still showing up. He's still backstage. He's not gone from the company. Maybe he's just waiting for his surgery, his surgery date to go have that done. Could be a lot of things. And, maybe he's just transitioning to another role. But it still sounds like Sonata will not be wrestling in a New Japan ring anytime soon. And people wonder if he will be wrestling at all, because it's very invasive, very significant. It's a very significant procedure that he's going to have done. So we'll see what happens with that. But there's maybe a little update on his side, where we had previously talked about Sonata just flat out, being done with New Japan and going to get the surgery. Well, he's not done yet, at the very least. He's still hanging around. He's still hanging around. You can't confidently say he won't if you don't turn Impact and watch the whole show on stream right now. No, I'm not doing that. Look, I'll eat my words if Nick Nemeth, Ryan Nemeth will never mention anyone in AEW ever again. But Nick Nemeth, if he says anything about MJF on TNA tonight, first of all, that will be extremely hilarious and will be a lull TNA moment, and I'll eat my words. But he won't. He can't. He can't. His masters won't let him. Jumping from TV promotions is fun. Jumping from one job to another IRL is kind of dull. No, true. Yes. I mean, it's not as exciting or glamorous, but nonetheless, the reality is there as well. You feel like you've hit a wall. Try somewhere else. Where's this incredible gift coming from? I don't know. I just found it, and probably from Tumblr somewhere. I don't know. And this is why Warren believes MJF should be released. No. That's a lie. That guy 64 has just gifted 100 more channel memberships. G. Willikers, when did you become a bot and also not using the exact vernacular? It's not a thing. That's happening tonight. Now, here's a name from New Japan that apparently is ready to move on as well. It's this guy, Hiromu Takahashi. Now, apparently, so this is what we're collecting in regards to Hiromu right now. On one end, I've heard that he's just like completely done. That he's done with New Japan, and he just wants to go off and do things elsewhere, which is not really surprising when you consider that New Japan, that his LIJ brothers, right? His Naito, which is, he is very close friends with Tetsuya Naito. He's pals with Bushi, and they're out there doing their thing. They're over there in Noah and whatnot. And, he's been wrestling in Noah. And if you've watched Hiromu wrestle in Noah, he's been wrestling with a little more verve, with a little more oomph. Like, you can tell that Hiromu in Noah is much more energized. He is much more into it than whatever's happening in New Japan. I think he's tired of New Japan. So there's that end where it's like where suddenly we're hearing, oh, Hiromu's on his way out as well. And yeah, probably going to go join his Los Ingobernables de Tokyo. No, Los Tranquilos, right? De Japón. However, I've also heard that he might not be done with New Japan. That he might be like he might still stick around New Japan, but be used a little less so that he can wrestle more elsewhere, such as Professional Wrestling Noah, where he is still currently the junior heavyweight champ, isn't he? As far as I was ignoramus. But yeah, it's like I think that's what it is, that he's still the champ. But that would be the thing. So there's also that running around where it's like Hiromu might not be done, right? So I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly. I couldn't tell you with confidence what exactly his next move is. But at best case scenario, I guess, let's take this from New Japan's side. Best case scenario, he's used on occasion. He still sticks around, still has some kind of contract, but he's not full time. Worst case scenario, he's just gone. It's either or. And here's something very interesting too, that went against a ton of things that I had heard in the past, or that at least was speculated, right? There's a lot of people had speculated that, because there had been rumblings that Hiromu wanted to go heavyweight and that New Japan didn't want. New Japan didn't want him to go heavyweight because they saw him as an important as an important star in the junior division. The guy was holding it all together. He's very charismatic and whatnot. So he said, so it's like, we can't lose him in the junior division. Plus, there was also the theory that they didn't want to have him transition because when you're a heavyweight, you make more money, and New Japan is not exactly flush for cash, so they were shutting him down. Turns out Hiromu might be the guy who had saying, no, I don't want to do heavyweight. It turns out he might be the guy who was just like that. It might turns out that New Japan had offered it up to him and he shut it down, where he's like, no, I'm going to see this junior thing through. I'm going to do this my way. Which is a little surprising to me. A lot surprising. A lot surprising. So I don't know. I don't know, man. It's an interesting little twist there. But look, you can see in the matches that Hiromu has had just this year in New Japan, in Noah. You look at those and you're like, oh shit, Hiromu still has it. He still has that bite, Whereas in New Japan, you see him wrestle and it's like, uninspired. It's very rote. Feels like he's going through motions. He's not really trying. The energy levels aren't there. So good for him. And again, this instantly creates a freshness in the junior division, because you don't have Hiromu Takahashi, who has been the ace of the division, still hanging around with his specter there, hanging over the division going, oh, well, you have to push me because I'm the top guy or whatever. Not that he said that, or that, the bookers feel that they have to push Hiromu or whatnot. It's all very good. Like, these are all good decisions that are happening right now. Like, what if he does leave and we'll have a best of Super Juniors, a Hiromu-less best of Super Juniors? When do we go back in time for that? It's been a fucking long time since we've had a best of Super Juniors without Hiromu in it, and that makes things all the more interesting, I think. All this is really interesting. All this is really, really interesting. So there you have it. That's the update on the Japanese departures, the New Japan departures, who is being rumored heavily as leaving, who is leaving, allegedly, and who might be. These are all still. Most of this has not been confirmed. Well, I think though the Sonata thing has been confirmed that he was going on hiatus, but everything else, and there's still other people. The names aren't out there yet. So again, I don't want to, I don't want to steal anyone's spot here, but there are still names floating about. Names that haven't been around in a while, that you're like, oh, that's right. That they might be on the chopping block as well. So we'll see. Keep an eye on all of this. Of course, it continues to evolve. Who's wrestling in the Feast or Fired main event tonight? On the TNA. Yes, these are all these departures are very positive. It's all good news, really. It's really all good news. They haven't said who's in it. They're doing the Feast or Fired match tonight, and we don't know who's in it. Jesus Christ, this fucking company. Anyway. Since we're on the topic of departures, Tommaso Ciampa has confirmed the rumors that have been circulating that he is indeed not going to renew his WWE contract when it comes up soon. Let's read this article off the Wrestling Observer Figure 4 Online. For the first time in a decade, Tommaso Ciampa is available for bookings. Earlier this month, reports indicated that Ciampa's WWE contract was set to expire and he was not expected to re-sign with the company. Johnny Gargano and Candice LeRae have been appearing on SmackDown without Ciampa, beginning with the January 2 episode. On Wednesday, Ciampa confirmed his WWE departure in a statement posted to social media. Ciampa also noted that he has another 10 years left in his career. This is the statement. In the very near future, my contract with WWE will officially come to an end. I'd like to thank every single person who contributed to the last 10 years of this incredible journey. Camera crew, ring crew, hair and makeup team, seamstresses, referees, creative, producers, catering crew, commentators, ring announcers, travel department, medical team, talent, reps, and anybody I may have missed. Why didn't you just say that? Why didn't you just say that from the get-go? I want to thank everyone involved, Well, hair. I mean, someone had to handle his beard, right? A very special thank you to all the men and women who I've shared a ring and locker room with. Nothing but love and respect. And I would be remiss not to give a special thank you to my black and gold family. You will forever hold an incredibly special place in my heart. To the fans who have shown love and support over the last 2 decades, thank you from the bottom of my heart. To my wife and daughter, you are my rock and my forever why. I love you more. I spent the first decade of my career traveling the world on the independent scene. I spent the second decade of my career traveling the world with WWE. I have 1 decade remaining and I'm beyond excited for whatever challenges lie ahead. I'm an incredibly lucky person, one of the few who has spent his entire adult life living out his childhood dream. And while that dream continues to evolve, I will continue to chase it. That being said, for the first time ever in 10 years, I am available for all appearances, signings, photo ops, seminars, movies, TV appearances, fitness collaborations, sponsorships, and so forth. Please email any inquiries to bookciampa@gmail.com. Thank you, he says. So yeah. So the confirmation has been confirmed. Not the confirmation, the departure. So the departure has been confirmed. He straight from the horse's mouth. and he will be hitting the circuit very soon. I would not be surprised in the slightest if Tony Khan picks him up. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. I mean, I haven't seen Tommaso Ciampa wrestle in years. Literally years upon years upon years. I have not seen any of his WWE main roster work. Nothing. Not with the renewal of DIY, not while he was a lackey to the Miz, none of that. I've seen nothing. So I can't even sit here and say, oh, well, he's got some gas in the tank. I don't know. At the very least, again, I'm using the same expression, but you kick the tires on Ciampa. Why not give him a dark match and see what happens, right? And I mean, he's a former Ring of Honor guy. Tony's a Ring of Honor guy. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if he shows up in AEW. Should we be surprised that he shows up in TNA? Not really. Maybe he'd like to stay WWE adjacent, which is a fair strategy, I guess, But when it comes to Ciampa's departure, like I'm not as invested in the, what can he do? Where can he go? And so on and so forth. Like that's not the thing that really interests me. I think what the departure of Tommaso Ciampa after WWE doing jack shit with him on the main roster is kind of creating a thought process in my head in regards to the black and gold people of that era of NXT and their non-success rate. They have all been shooting blanks, these people. There's a couple of exceptions, and they're mostly women. Asuka, Bianca, Rhea Ripley. Those are probably the most prominent success stories from the black and gold era. Outside from that, like if you were to break down, but okay, do we consider Io Sky to be part of the black and gold era? Because she came really at the tail end when I feel Triple H was handing over the reins over to Shawn Michaels. There was a transition period there. I'm not even sure I'd consider Io Shirai to be that much of a. I don't know. Like I said, I probably have to put more thought into it, right? I off the top of my head, I'm not sure, but then again, like this idea has been bouncing around in my head for the past couple of days. I might just write an article about it for Voices of Wrestling. But so ultimately, it's like, think of all the NXT champions that existed in the black and gold era, right? And when would we kick that one off, right? When do we feel like the real black and gold era began? Is it when it's the Sami Zayn? Would that be like the Sami Zayn, Shinsuke, Finn Balor, Samoa Joe era, right? Starting from that point on, Finn Balor's a non-entity now. He had a modicum of success, but Shinsuke, burned bright, right, and then burnt out fast. Joe doesn't even work for the company. And then you keep moving on. You keep going down the road, right? Where it's like your other champions, Andrade, was a non-issue in WWE and not even with the company anymore. Johnny Gargano, a superstar in the company, not even an issue in WWE anymore. He's a non-issue in WWE. Aleister Black, same thing. Velveteen Dream. Adam Cole, and then Kyle O'Reilly, and Killer Cross. Keith Lee. The point ultimately, I guess I'm trying to make, is that we really did think, Damian Priest, I could get behind Damian Priest too. Okay, Damian Priest, let's throw in there because, yeah, that's pretty good. But my point is that I think everyone who foresaw the NXT Black and Gold stuff as the future of WWE and Triple H having all of his hands in this and just being the mastermind that he's allegedly is, I think with all of his boys and girls we're going to tear the scene up on main roster. Whereas most of the people that they've invested time in either didn't work out, are very tucked away in the lower card, mid card, or aren't even with the company anymore. It goes all these ways. And I think that Tommaso Ciampa is a poster boy of that, because Ciampa was the biggest heel in NXT. Some would even argue in all of WWE. He had such monster heat, and it was so well done on top of that, and he was so good at the role, and then delivered in big time matches. His feud with Johnny Gargano is one of the defining feuds of the entire run of NXT. And it's a guy where you're like, he'll be safe going up to main roster, especially once Triple H is in charge. And Triple H is in charge. And the best he could do with them is, well, let's reform DIY. And Ciampa's like, well, no, I don't want to reform DIY. I kind of want to do my own thing. Ultimately, that's what he's saying, right? It's crazy to me, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Like, this is a poster boy. And him and Johnny Gargano. And look at what Gargano's doing. He's doing fucking comedy bits on social media because he's got nothing to do. I mean, he was doing comedy bits for, to be fair, he was doing comedy bits towards the end of his NXT run when he had way overstayed his welcome and didn't know what to do anymore. So they resolved themselves to doing like fucking nonsense. But is this like an ultimate, like, true to form testament that whatever Triple H did back in the day was just some kind of circumstance, lucky happenstance that never translated into any real success for anyone for most people that he worked with and that he pushed and that we all thought were going to be big stars? Look at Bobby Roode. There's another really good example. Look at Bobby Roode. And no, I don't include Drew McIntyre in there because Drew McIntyre has just he was a main roster guy, and they got him back in and just slid him back in to WWE via the NXT door. I don't think Drew McIntyre is a defining NXT guy. I'm just saying. And people were so convinced that everything was going to change once Triple H was going to be in charge, until the real reality hit everyone and is starting to hit more and more people as he gets exposed as being uncreative and a fraud, is that Triple H learned booking for WWE from the man himself, from Vince directly. He wasn't going to go around and change the formula. It was like, this worked for Vince. It'll work for me. Because he's got no ideas. He's not creative. He's not truly original. That's the whole situation. Fuck your mama. Nice to see you and welcome to the chat. And you too as well, Slam Hub Wrestling. I always wondered if Prince Devitt never left New Japan. Does he get to be one of the top guys on the level of the other gaijins that came after him? That's a very good question. It's a very good what if. I guess it would have probably depended on how much he was going to adapt, because look at the guys who followed. It's a tough act to follow. You know, when you got Tanahashi and Okada and then Naito when he returns from excursion. That's a fucking tough act to follow. And Kenny Omega emerges. Does that stunt the... Prince Devitt sticks around. Does that stunt the growth of Kenny Omega? It's a big ass what if, right? All the black and gold men had no success on the main roster. But the women are a different case. Mercedes, Bayley, Charlotte, Becky to Io, Rhea, Bianca have all had success. I don't even know if Mercedes and Bayley are... I have to think about it. I have to think about it properly. I really have to think about it perfectly. They really fumbled Ember Moon. Vince didn't like her. That's the thing. Vince saw her playing on her Switch at some point backstage, and then it became her personality. Like, oh, you like to play video games. So then he has people run up to bully her while she's just playing video games backstage, which is what a lot of guys do backstage. Sit around and play on their phones and play video games with each other on top of that. People really bought into the bullshit. I can't help but laugh. Folks really thought he rebuilt the house of WWE when in reality he just changed out the old furniture. Not even changed out the old furniture, he reupholstered it. It's the same old furniture. He just changed, like, you know, the fucking floral patterns to, you know, a solid green or whatever. That's what he did. He just reupholstered the furniture. DGMC, nice to see you, pal. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. I think Devitt's ability to truly embrace the Japanese culture like Omega did would have been the big decider on that. Fair enough. It's a good point. Remember when it was Brother Love booking WWE before Triple H? Not really. Bruce Pritchard booking WWE? No. It's always been Vince. It's always been Vince. All right, back to our docket here. Chilu. Jeez. All right, we got to talk about this. All right, so WrestleNomics today. Put together a chart expressing the global number of views for all of the WWE content that airs on Netflix, because Netflix had their released their biannual, I can do words, their biannual report called What We Watch, right? Which they release in their Q4, during their Q4 earnings call, essentially. So, of course, Brandon is tracking all of this and he's compiling all the numbers together. And he did the whole thing for the PLEs, for Raw, for SmackDown, for NXT. Anything that is produced by WWE shows up on this list, right? And on this chart. But I want to, you can find it on WrestleNomics. You just go over there and you sub to the Patreon. It's one of the best wrestling related Patreons that you can subscribe to. There's always great information there. But I want to take a look at the pay-per-view data here that that's provided, because this is all data, views, essentially, right? All this data is provided directly from Netflix, so it's not Dave Meltzer, getting his numbers from his sources and pumping out estimates, or people doing crazy ass math. This is data publicly available from Netflix that they release unto the world. What we want to point out here before we go on is the little definitions here, right? The little caveats before we start talking about all of the PLEs and their numbers here. These are the global views for WWE content from January 1st to December 31st, 2025. Global views are defined as viewing hours divided by runtime. That's Netflix's way of evaluating things. So the number of viewing hours divided by the runtime of whatever's being aired. The metric representation of accounts viewing, not people viewing, meaning that as opposed to Nielsen, which calculates actually the number of people in a household. The metric here is saying one account, one viewer, essentially, when there could possibly be 2, 3, 4, maybe more people in the room watching on one account. Netflix doesn't track the number of eyeballs, just the number of accounts logged in watching. Only Raw and Unreal are available on Netflix in the United States. All WWE content represented here is available internationally. The data represents viewing that happened at any time from July 1st to December 31st, 2025. I think that might be a little typo on his end. Though much of the viewing occurs live or soon after, content released at the end of this period, late December, has the disadvantage of having less time to accumulate viewing. Sure, that's clear. So, if we take a look at the numbers here, I find this to be very interesting. The most viewed pay-per-view on Netflix, WWE pay-per-view, on one single night that was viewed was the Royal Rumble, which was, in effect, the first pay-per-view on Netflix, right? Royal Rumble 2025, 3.2 million views. 3.2 million people tuned in to watch that. Then the Elimination Chamber dropped a little to 2 million, but then the WrestleMania nights boosted back up a little, 2.5 million for night 1, 2.9 million for night 2, but didn't hit the highs of the Royal Rumble, which is really interesting. Then drops all the way down to 1.5 million, practically half the amount of views as they got for WrestleMania Night 2 for Backlash on May 10. 1.5 million views, 1.7 million views for Money in the Bank, 1.3 million views for Night of Champions, 900,000 views for Evolution 2025. I'm telling you, their counter-programming strategy hurt them more than it hurt AEW. It was a complete and utter failure. And I don't know why people didn't talk about that more in their end of year lists as like the, worst promotional tactic of the year or whatever. The counter programming was an absolute disaster. Then the 2 nights of SummerSlam, 1.5 and 1.7 nights views, respectively and respectfully. Then Clash in Paris, 1.3 million, WrestlePalooza 1.9, Crown Jewel Perth 1.4, and then the Survivor Series War Games 1.8. And you'll notice that once we're over the Evolution show, everything sort of lives in this. We sort of see a pattern here, right? Like everything is kind of within the same parameters. 1.8 million for War Games, WrestlePalooza 1.9, SummerSlam Night 2 1.7. You got 1.5, 1.3, 1.4 for SummerSlam Night 1, Clash in Paris, and Crown Jewel Perth. So we're kind of in those areas. It feels as if, like, once we were done with WrestleMania, once the initial excitement of watching WWE on Netflix passed, which was the Royal Rumble, and then WrestleMania passed, which of course it's fucking WrestleMania, so that should get big numbers. Everything else just sort of petered off at somewhere, always under 2 million, but mostly over 1 million, outside of Evolution, of course, being the exception. That only generated 900,000 views. So it's an interesting, it's an interesting setup here. Elimination Chamber, 2 million. Did I not mention it? Excuse me. If I didn't mention it, I apologize. But Elimination Chamber on March 1st did 2 million views. And you'd sort of look at this and you're like, okay, well, the novelty of WWE still being on Netflix, I think, still carried on here. I think this is very, very interesting data. But folks, I got to tell you, I look at this. These are global numbers. This is not the United States. The United States is not counted in the PLE numbers. These are global numbers in all of the regions in which Netflix slides itself into across the world. How many countries again? Dozens upon dozens of countries. These are the numbers that WWE does. Is it me? Or are these numbers not impressive when you look at it that way? I'm sorry, but WrestleMania not crossing the bar of 3 million views when the Royal Rumble did is kind of perplexing when it's supposed to be like this juggernaut event, bigger than the Super Bowl, etc., etc., or as big as the Super Bowl. And isn't WWE supposed to be this global brand with this enormous global reach? Who are they reaching out to? I think what this is telling us is that the interest, the true power of WWE really comes through only in the United States. And I think everywhere else is kind of mid. I don't know. I failed to see how these big time events that we are constantly told are like these huge, tremendous events. I failed to see that they're that big a deal worldwide, globally, when these are the numbers that they're picking up. Isn't this weird? For the biggest company in the world doing numbers on the level of NBC shows goes to show their interest isn't as big as they think it is. That's where I am. Like, these are Friday, like 1.3 million, 1.4. Like, these are numbers that they used to do on Fox. And this is supposed to be across the globe. In every home, every person that has a Netflix account has access to WWE. And we were told so much when the deal was announced that WWE, truly a global brand, will be reaching out to people all across the world, anywhere, kind of thing. Everyone will finally be able to tune in easily to WWE. Are they really tuning in? Are people in this? How many people are we in the world now? 5 billion? How many people is there on planet Earth right now? Hey, Google, how many people are on planet Earth right now?
On the website worldometers.info, they say, world population clock, 8.3 billion people.
8.3 billion. 8.3 billion. That's a. I was saying, what did I say? 5? I can go. Let me go kick rocks here for a second. 8 billion people. No. Stop, Google. No, we don't need you anymore. Cancel. It doesn't matter. You're still talking. 8.3 billion people, right? And you've got 1.8 across the world, let's say, watching Survivor Series war games. I don't know, guys. And I feel like it should be bigger. Is it just me? Is it just me that finds these numbers profoundly unimpressive? And the thing is that when you look at these numbers here, right, that I'm highlighting right now on the screen for those of you with the benefit of video, you know, the numbers that Brandon set everything up so that we can see what the numbers from January to June 2025 were, and then the little added on extra views that came from July to December for these shows here. So the numbers I was giving out were the total amount of views for, let's say, Royal Rumble to Night of Champions. That also included the views that these shows collected from July to December. You know, people going back to watch it and tuning in late and whatnot. So like the Royal Rumble, for instance, 3 million watched it within the first 6 months of the year. And then another 200,000 people watched it outside of that period from July to December. So really it did 3 million in the original, in its original position. No, Night of Champions did 1 million. It almost didn't even, it did 1 million on its first, during the first period. Money in the Bank, 1.6. Backlash, 1.5. Mania, night 1, 2.4. 2.8 for night 2. They got a little bit of a boost after. There really wasn't all that much interest in the WrestleManias after. It's crazy. So, I mean, I don't think this is interesting for them. I don't think these are really cool numbers. You know, I know Netflix recently put out a statement saying, "Oh, we're satisfied. You know, we're very happy with the results," and I wonder just how satisfied they really are, how much they're putting on front. Remember, Netflix can renegotiate in 5 years, right? At the at the end of the first 5 years, they can sit them back down and say, "Yeah, well, let's open this up again. Let's talk." It'll be interesting to see how WWE continues to perform. But that's not all that Brandon had for us. He also did this. He compiled the watch time for all Netflix television shows, not movies, TV shows. All right? Let me see if I can open this. I'll open this in a new tab here. There we go. That's better. That's better. So what does that mean exactly? He made this chart here where he combines the viewing time, the watch time, I should say. The watch time, not the views. The watch time. So the amount of time that people are watching these Netflix shows. Put it all together, again, based on the What We Watch data release that happened with the Q4 stuff. Right? So we have the hours viewed here, which is, of course, dominated by the juggernaut Stranger Things. 2.50 billion billion hours viewed. Crazy. 2.5 billion. That is a juggernaut, friends and family. Holy shit. And then what else do we have here in the top shows? The Wednesday show, Wednesday Addams, right? Squid Game, The Rookie. In the top 5 is Gilmore Girls. Folks, you have to school me here. Have there been new episodes of Gilmore Girls? Or is this the old Gilmore Girls show? Please let me know. Please let me know. I don't know. Shameless, Bon Appetit, Your Majesty, Grey's Anatomy, Suits, the show from 2011 is in the top, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, in the top 10 is Suits. Young Sheldon, further down the chart, beats out anything WWE. Of course, you cannot beat the Big Bang Theory universe. It will always be attached to wrestling in some way or fashion. But what interests us is, where does WWE fall here? Look at that. To make this viable, right? To make this viable for WWE, Brandon combined not just the Raw views, but the PLEs, SmackDown, NXT, and Unreal as well. And there's a little extra sliver here. Not quite sure what that is. But he put the whole thing all together. And they fall here between Val Salvar, which is probably, Scandinavian, some Scandinavian show, Swedish, Norwegian, something, and the Vampire Diaries. That's the company that Raw WWE keeps. And, if you look at all the, the viewing bars here, all the bars of views, there's a bit of a trend here. No one's sticking out. Pretty much, it's a very natural, very slow decline. And suddenly you have Raw in there. Again, I don't think this is all that impressive. And I'll tell you why this is not all that impressive. Because this Monday Night Raw produces content, new content, 5 hours of new content every week for 52 weeks in the year. You're getting Raw, SmackDown, NXT, and I understand that Raw is the only one available on Netflix in the US. I get it, but we're going global here, boys. Okay. So they produce 5 hours of content a week, notwithstanding the pay-per-views. 5 hours a week. Whereas the Vampire Diaries and Sullivan's Crossing and Henry Danger and Dynamite Kiss, these are all shows that have seasons. They're series. They stop, and then you don't get another one until another year or two or whatever, right? These are not shows that produce content 52 weeks in a year. It is insane to me that all these shows here, all these shows that have finite starts and stops, are all able All of those I'm showing right now. You know, the top 10 we talked about, and The Walking Dead here. Let's throw in some more. The Walking Dead, The Witcher, Breaking Bad, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Dexter, the 2017 SWAT show, House, One Piece, Paw Patrol, Lucifer, which is a fucking old show, The Sandman, Alice in Borderland. All of these shows all rank higher than Monday Night Raw, and you have less ultimately to consume week after week. And yet this is where we're at. And yet this is where we're at. Where for Brandon to add for even anything WWE related to show up on this list of the top 75 shows ranked by view time on Netflix, Brandon had to combine all things WWE for them to even show up. If we just put on Raw all by themselves, they wouldn't even be in the top 75 shows. Neither would be SmackDown or NXT. It would be beat out by Peppa Pig. Peppa Pig has more global views than Monday Night Raw. What is going on? Tell you what's going on. Netflix and the world, the whole wrestling world, is getting conned by these people. It's a con at this point because we're getting the hard data and it is not even remotely as impressive. It is not even remotely as impressive as WWE makes it out to be. As WWE wants us to believe it is. The global brand stuff. How they influence the world, right? Remember that one? WWE continues to influence the world. How they're this driving cultural factor, in Saudi Arabia and all that. It's all bullshit. They're all following the money. That's all there is to it. There is no real cultural impact from WWE. Only in the United States does this show matter. Because when you start putting things down and you show things, how things are positioned all throughout the world. You've got Emily in Paris, which is a much more relevant show across the globe as far as view time goes on Netflix than anything WWE produces. Anything at all. It is a stunning graph. An absolute stunning graph. The only way Brandon managed to get WWE on this graph of the top 75 shows ranked by watch time on Netflix globally was to put everything WWE produces into one bar, into one category. Otherwise, not a single one of them would show up. So again, WWE is a very important part of the zeitgeist of entertainment in the United States. I will acquiesce that. Is it as big as, again, they make it out to be? No, I don't think so. But nonetheless, it is a significant, it still has some weight. But across the world, this global brand talk is bullshit. And the more we see data like this provided directly from Netflix, we can see it with our own fucking eyes, folks. It's not even remotely close to being this massive global movement. WWE struggles outside of the United States. And that is all there is to it. It's just really that simple. There's the full graph again for those of you with the benefit of video. There's the full graph. So that you can let all these bars sink in. Like 500 million watched, 500 million watch time is impressive or sounds impressive, but when you put it into context, then you're like, is it that impressive? And we're talking, and the 500 million or whatever it is, maybe it's more along like 400 million. I can't really tell. Like the graphic, it's a PNG. So, it's not super duper interactive. In fact, it's not even interactive at all. Let's say the 350 million views that all of WWE got throughout from July to December 31st, 2025. That's all of WWE's content altogether. There's not one show that sticks out. There's not one show that sticks out globally. Again, they would not, if you separated the shows, if Brandon hadn't put all of WWE's productions into one category, not a single WWE show would show up in the top 75. Now in the top 100, maybe, and maybe that's their target too. We don't know, but ultimately, we got to stop with this global brand bullshit. We have to stop pretending that WWE is this great, international media company force of nature, because it's not. It's all it is, it's a pro wrestling outfit. It's a silly sports entertainment company with its silly little show on Netflix. That's all there is to it. God bless WrestleNomics and the work they do. Thank you, Brendan Thurston. Once again, you continue to justify my subscription every single time. Let me go see it's a little late. Okay, one last thing real quick. Last thing, and I promise you this is going to be quick. But an article on the Figure 4 Online Wrestling Observer today popped up talking about The Rock and possibly showing up at WrestleMania 43. With a year left for WrestleMania 43, The Rock has opened up and teased some good news surrounding his participation for the PLE. For the first time ever, the 2027 edition of WrestleMania is set to take place in Saudi Arabia as part of WWE's relationship with KSA, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, in case you don't know. However, with still a year left for the show, The Rock recently appeared with Rafi Bogosian of Rafi Talks, where he addressed the speculations surrounding his presence on the PLE. Here's The Rock's quote. "I'm excited for the brand of WrestleMania." What? Jesus Christ, Rock. For the brand of WrestleMania. "I'm excited for the brand of WrestleMania. I'm excited for the Kingdom because that is a big show. I'm also excited not only for the brand, but I'm excited for our athletes to be able to participate in an event like that. And that is a global event." See, we got to stop with this global bullshit. We really do. "And I can't wait in terms of the conversations I've been having. It's all good. It will always be good." I would argue, here are my thoughts very, very quickly. And I promise, Chad, I'm going to get to you. We're going to wrap this up. I'm going to chat back at you in a little bit. Trust me. I've got two thoughts. Thought number one, I hope The Rock does show up for WrestleMania next year. Because this company is always infinitely more interesting when The Rock shows up and starts, pushing people around and throwing scripts out the window and whatever the fuck he does. Instantly, WWE becomes so much more interesting when The Rock shows up. So I really hope he does, because it's good content. It's fun to talk about. It makes a guy like me really fucking happy. Second point, I am not surprised that he is hitting a podcast, situation here. And he's going around talking about, oh yeah, I might show up at WrestleMania 43. We're having talks, so on and so forth. Coming off of the fact that no one really nominated, that he didn't win any awards and he didn't get any Oscar nominations for The Smashing Machine. Maybe The Rock's dreams of being perceived as a serious actor are suddenly starting to break apart. He's going to be in the next Scorsese film. Let's see how that goes. But maybe this target that he set for himself to be an Oscar winner is not exactly going to turn out the way he hoped. And maybe he's like, well, you know what? Might as well just go back to WWE then. The safety net. They'll always be there, right? Don't forget, The Rock had been, in, pardon the pun, rocky waters a couple of years ago. His public perception as being this hardworking, chill guy sort of took a hit, when we started hearing that he was always showing up late to shoots and was pissing in bottles and being rude to people and whatnot. What did he do? Well, he headed back, started doing appearances on WWE to help reboost his image, right? So that he could reconnect with the audience that will never turn on him, right? It's an ego thing, right? And it's public perception, and all these things are important. So I would not be surprised if this suddenly this, oh yeah, I'll be at WrestleMania 42 talk is a direct connection with his failed award season push. I did not see The Smashing Machine. I think it's an interesting story to put on, to make a movie out of. Don't get me wrong, but I have not seen The Smashing Machine, so I can't be the judge of that. I've seen Sinners. I've seen I can never remember the title. The fuck, the one with Leo DiCaprio. Every Day Another Battle. Something like that. One battle after another. There we go. I got it. One battle after another. Those are great films. Great performances. Legitimately great performances in both. And great films. But Smashing Machine, I don't know. I wasn't compelled to watch it either. Still not compelled. So I can't judge on whether it was good or not. And that's not the point that we're talking about here, whether The Rock was deserving or not. The point is that he wasn't nominated. So is he going on this tour right now, starting to open up doors again with WWE because his serious actor arc is coming to an abrupt close? Maybe. Again, like I said, he's supposed to be in the next Scorsese. Maybe it's not done. Maybe I'm overthinking things. Maybe he'll get nominated next year and win. This year. Well, no, next year. Anyway, you know what I mean. I thought that was interesting. I thought that was interesting that suddenly The Rock shows up and he's like, WrestleMania, after his failed bids. Kick him in the nuts. I think it's interesting. But I welcome The Rock. I welcome The Rock back. Anyone who will come in and just fuck with Triple H has my book. Has my complete support, because that's what he's truly best at. Let's have the pissing contests again. Let's have him and Paul Levesque, go at it again. Let The Rock remind Paul Levesque that he was small potatoes back in the day. He was second to The Rock and Steve Austin, who were both 1A and 1B. He was easily the B B minus to those two absolute aces. Remind him again. Come into his environment where he's supposed to be in control, where he's supposed to be the star of the show, and lay the smack down, as he would say, and change his plans and throw monkey wrenches into things and get into people's ears. Let's go. Let's go. The Rock makes WWE so much more interesting. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to the big return of The Rock. All right, chat. Let's wrap this up slowly by taking a look at what everyone was talking about here. Turn on the show now. You're going to miss one of the greatest matches of this generation. Indy Hartwell versus M by Elegance. Jesus fucking Christ. Who's in the main event? Who's the feaster for Trey Miguel? Trey Miguel is in Feast or Fired. Okay. All right. Okay. I mean, oh, I feel bad for the guy. I honestly do. Who's his opponent? Though many of those shows have more content than WWE produced this year, for new content, the fact that WWE is producing weekly content would make it more uniquely important than many of those. Many of those shows, no, no, that's not my read. Like WWE is producing more content than everyone else on that list of 75. It's producing more content because they produce 5 hours of content every fucking week. That's what makes that's what makes it even more like debilitating. It just makes it so much more crazy that they can't rank any higher. At least WWE doing better than The Simpsons on the flicks. Simpsons are on Netflix? Aren't they on Disney? I know I canceled my Disney subscription. But The Simpsons are on Netflix, are on Disney Plus, right? Whose boots did Pippa ever lace, pal? Exactly. Somehow I can't believe that Netflix is anything happy with WWE and the ratings. They say they are. Like, whatever target, like it's all a question of targets. But I can't imagine that they're okay with the amount of money that they're paying for the result that they're getting. That's the thing. I don't know if WWE finessed them into believing that they were going to get Monday Night Football, NFL football style ratings. They're getting paid so much money. Peppa Pig more over than WWE. That's right. Well, fortunately, from Fox, we know that not only are their ratings disappointing, but their fan base has terrible demographics for advertisers. True. All the things we learned. Rock didn't get the Oscar nom, so I bet he shows, for real. There was no way he was getting an Oscar vote on a show with ties to Trump and Saudi Arabia. Maybe. Smashing Machine failure, good promo material. He'll be the next Stacks and Goodfellas. That's funny. $7 podcast with Dwayne Johnson and Conrad Thompson. Oh, Jesus Christ. And then The Rock does Steve Singer ad reads. Well, The Rock says, if you want to please your lady, if you can't please your lady with your strudel, you got to get her some Steven Singer gold-plated roses. You know, he cuts to that kind of promo. It's so fucking cringe. It is so incredibly cringe. Other participants: Steve Macklin, Mance Warner, Rich Swan, AJ Francis, Jason Hotch, John Schuyler, Brian Myers, and Eddie Edwards. All right. Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they do that on the first fucking show? At least you've got guys out there, right? I honestly don't care, but I'm reading that. I'm like, that's clearly more exciting than anything else they had on the show. And Hometown Man. Macklin's getting fired. Unless Trey Miguel gets another briefcase. But the thing is that Miguel is probably, you know, he's probably got like no contract again, right? I'm just going through a group chat here. Apparently Carlos Silva showed up to kick off TNA Impact. You know, he's taking a page out of Paul Levesque's playbook. Wants to make sure everyone understands that this is his show. God damn it. Could you imagine, though, if Trey Miguel gets fired again? Like, they bring him back, and then they do the fired gimmick, and then he's gone again. That being said, all of this stuff about respecting my privacy and, you know, please respect my privacy in this hard time, you know, whatever. It's all a bunch of it was all a load of bullshit, right? It's just like some cheap sympathy, right? That's what it all turned out to be. What a bunch of hooey. Anyway. It's fun tonight. We had fun. I had fun. I enjoyed myself. This was a good stream. I hope you enjoyed it too. We're gonna wrap it up for this lovely evening, so that I can go on social media. Breaking news: Carlos Silva last minute surprise entrant for Feast or Fire. No, that's also funny. Eric Young got one of the briefcases. Good for him. You know, it's Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin's done. There's no way Steve Macklin's sticking around this. You know, he posted an old video of his on Instagram earlier today, and boy, he was, you know, a few years ago younger and so on and so forth. Man, he looked like a Marine. Like, he absolutely looks like a Marine and acts like a Marine and talks like when he's got all the little ticks and whatnot. I'm like, holy shit. Ryan Nemeth is in. Oh, gee. I wonder if he's getting fired after re-signing with the company. I mean, why you do it? Like, it doesn't. Anyway, it's stupid. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up for today, folks. Thank you all for showing up again on this lovely Thursday. Hope you enjoyed your time and had a good time. And I'm going to keep an eye on all of this on social media while I don't know, playing some Animal Well or something. I don't know. Do something much more interesting than actually watching TNA. But I do hope you all have a lovely rest of your evening and a lovely weekend on top of that. I'll be back Monday with another live stream. So hopefully you'll be around for that. That would be tremendous. Well, there you go. Have a great time, everyone. And yeah, this is the 6th time I thank you, but thank you for showing up tonight. And see you next time.